Welcome everybody! My hair is now green, I'm feeling keen, and I'm going to be going over a couple of pieces of positive news that have come up recently. Unfortunately, I've had a sinus infection for the past couple of weeks, so I haven't been able to work on what I originally had planned, which is why this video is a little late. But we're going to be covering a couple of different news articles. The first news article we're going to be covering is talking about how India is on the cusp of a solar revolution. The second video we're going to be talking about is becoming plastic negative with cannabis and hemp. And the last article we're going to be talking about is how the circular economy can save the world. I will be going and linking to all of these news articles in the description down below, along with going and adding the stamps, so you can just go and jump ahead if that's what you want to be listening to. And with that, let's get started. India being on the cusp of a solar-powered revolution is from Carbon Brief, Clear on Climate. India is entering a solar-powered revolution that will see it edge out coal as the nation's top electricity source, according to the International Energy Agency. Solar power currently makes up just 4% of the nation's power supply, but is set to grow 18-fold and become the new king of India's generation fleet by at least 2040. So this is kind of huge, considering the fact that India's got the second largest populace at like 1.39 billion people. So the fact of that such a large country is making a point of transitioning to renewable energy is going to be huge. Along with that, the report also considers how a combination of coal shutdowns and new technologies such as hydrogen and carbon capture could get India on a path to net zero emissions for its energy sector by the mid-2060s. So people are working towards this all over the world, and I think it's utterly fantastic. If you want to go and kind of read a little bit further into the report, check out the link down below. And with the next article, Becoming Plastic Negative, How Cannabis and Hemp Can Lead the Way in Regenerative Farming. It was released by Forbes, and I can actually go and give a little bit of an extra kind of bit of information with this. I'm a horticulturist. I've studied horticulture with the University of Guelph, and the two specializations that I have are cannabis and half of the natural land restoration. I'm currently working on getting that specialization as well. Unfortunately, the arboriculture course was full. Lots of fun. So, as the climate crisis looms large, the cannabis and hemp industries have begun to take a look at their collective plastic footprint. The plastic problem for cannabis has many factors at play. The majority of legal marketplace requires extra packaging in order to meet child-proof standards. Other issues include compliance, as each individual package is often required to be sealed at the time of purchase, so it's incompatible with reusable jars. Cannabis is not alone in this sustainability dilemma. In a comprehensive 2018 environmental study, the first of its kind looking at global plastic waste, data found that humans have created 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic. Yeah, plastic's a huge problem, like, kind of duh. A lot of people have actually raised complaints about this. I live in Canada. We legalized in 2018, and one of the biggest complaints people have had was actually the packaging that things were coming in. With the laws regarding cannabis, we have to make sure that it's not really appealing to children. You can't go and have big flashy packaging for it. You can't really go and have like great big colorful signs with it. So they were having black plastic containers, big complaints from lots and lots of people. And it's funny because even aside from this article, I've been seeing that there are actually a lot of cannabis companies that are going and making this change. For instance, I've actually been seeing companies pulling out ceramics, reusable containers in general, which is actually quite nice. Also, my little brother works for a pretty major cannabis company, here in Canada, and his company, Canada Cabana, made a point of getting a returning jar policy started, which was pretty cool. But back to this article. Mana Artisan Botanics, a CBD producer based in Hawaii, started a campaign to inspire companies in the hemp and cannabis industries to fight climate change. Mana has become the first plastic-negative CBD company in the United States. It is the very first CBD company to partner with Repurpose Global. The organization created a one-for-one impact guarantee program from which companies are removing more plastic from the earth than they are contributing to it. Mana funds the collection, processing, and reuse of 1 pound of plastic waste for every product it sells. The company has also replaced plastic packaging with sustainable alternatives, as well as supports regenerative and local farmers by sourcing ingredients from the islands, which can reduce its carbon footprint. The writer of the article ended up talking to sustainability expert Steve Sakala, founder and director of operations and agriculture at Mana Artisan Botanics, about how Hawaii is starting to welcome the hemp industry after a long road of lobbying, what the cannabis and hemp industries can do to lead the way in regenerative farming, and entrepreneurs can make more in tangible change than politicians through leading by example. So just giving a little bit of a background, humans and cannabis and hemp have a major relationship throughout history together. It's been a medicinal plant that has been used for an extraordinarily long amount of time, and there was a huge portion of time where hemp was a major textile, was a major player in a lot of different industries. And it was only, I think it was the 1920s where Prohibition kind of came around, and there was a lot of fear-mongering that was created relating to it, and it was banned, ending up going and essentially killing the hemp industry. So the fact that it's being brought back is kind of huge because of the amount of stuff that hemp can go and replace. It can be used to go and create paper, it can be used in housing, it can be used in textiles. Just clarifying, when I'm saying housing, it's talking about construction materials. Unfortunately, there tends to be a lot of, I guess you'd say, bureaucratic bullshit when it relates to kind of trying to find a way to go and bring hemp back into agriculture, because there's so much of a stigma relating to it. It was so bad actually that it ended up leading Steve Sakala, this person, to switch from the agriculture sector into manufacturing. So what he says is, there isn't a commercial hemp industry in Hawaii yet. I am still hopeful. I am still pushing. It's slow. It's part of the reason why I stepped out of the agriculture sector and into manufacturing. I didn't want Hawaii to fall so far behind. I wanted to create this industry and use only Hawaiian hemp in our products. Given that we still don't have Hawaiian hemp, I would have been way behind the ball. We pushed our lawmakers to say, okay, let's do manufacturing in Hawaii, and that's what we did. We were the first manufacturers of CBD in Hawaii and used the organic macadamia nut oil from the islands. So this article is great overall in that it goes and talks about the plastic problem that shows up in the agriculture industry, in the cannabis industry. The amount of black plastic that gets used in these industries is astounding, honestly. When annuals are planted, when all sorts of just anything are planted, there's a huge amount of plastic that is being used a lot of the time, and there's better alternatives to this. There are actually better options. There are bioplastics that are available and they're not expensive, and there's all sorts of different alternatives to these things. This article kind of goes in depth about just the specific company from Hawaii, which is great. It's great seeing actual examples of this. But in the future, I think I'm going to go and find an article for you guys, or do a video for you guys going and talking exactly about how hemp and cannabis can help in general, rather than just regarding to plastic packaging. If you want to read this article, check the links down below. It's really interesting, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about this more in the future. But seriously, there's so many better ways of going and doing things. There are options available for this. We just have to make that switch. We have to make that turn. And with that, we're moving on to our last article, which is by the World Economic Forum, and it is titled, "The Circular Economy Can Help Save the Planet If We Start Innovating Now." Explaining briefly what the circular economy is, it's going and making everything that we produce into a closed loop. So there isn't waste that's being produced. Everything is being used, everything is being brought back into the system. It's not creating waste, not just creating something to just throw it away. As we begin 2021, businesses face a complex matrix of challenges, from rising geoeconomic tensions to the urgency of the climate change. With less than 10 years to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the CDG, the decade to deliver is underway, and leaders must act for impact now. Transitioning to a holistic circular economic model is critical to reducing environmental degradation and prioritizing biodiversity in nature, while also delivering on future competitiveness. In a circular economy, waste is designed out and products are instead looped back into the production system at end of use. Consequently, growth is decoupled from the consumption of scarce resources, and materials are kept with productive use for as long as possible. Can I just say how huge it is that, like, a publication like the World Economic Forum is going and saying this, like going and having an article like this on there? Like, that's kind of absolutely fantastic that this is on so many people's mind, as like that these solutions are out there and that we just have to make the change, and it's being presented to people. It's being shown that it's out there. The circular economy presents a unique market opportunity upwards of $4.5 trillion by 2030. Accelerating this transition relies on the uptake of innovative new business models and disruptive technology innovation. Forging a path to a truly circular economy requires collaboration across the ecosystem. Today, multinational organizations with increasingly complex supply chains and processes can struggle to maintain a pulse on ever-advancing circular innovation, while at times can also lack the capabilities required to embrace new modes of operation in the transition to circular business. By contrast, entrepreneurs have the disruptive solutions to solve these challenges, but may lack the capital, resources, or enabling networks to replicate and scale their solutions at pace. Support small businesses. Support small businesses and entrepreneurs, guys, because that's where real change is going to end up going and coming from. How can we solve this mismatch across the ecosystem? Through successful connecting multinational actors with disruptive players, stakeholders across the value chain are empowered to fully embrace innovation, to prioritize targeted business models for impact, and respond effectively to new global challenges. How can we solve this mismatch through the ecosystem? Through successfully connecting multinational actors with disruptive players, stakeholders across the value chain are empowered to fully embrace innovation, to prioritize targeted business models for impact, and respond effectively to new global challenges. There is a program that is being created called the Circulars Accelerator, and it is being led by a number of different organizations and hosted digitally on the World Economic Forum's platform. The program will connect leading global organizations prioritizing circular innovation with disruptors seeking to scale circular solutions through a mutually beneficial program of mentorship, collaborative innovation, and strategic alliances. The accelerator's mission is to expedite the global circular transition, creating value and impact for early to growth stage innovators and established partners alike, while strengthening the circular ecosystem through action-focused partnership. There are people who are actively going and making it so that the circular economy is stronger. Like, going and making it so that we can actually have more sustainability in our world. Like, fantastic, 10 out of 10. The article goes and covers further, like, different ways that the program is being put together, but I suggest going and checking out the article if you want to learn more about it, if you want to hear more about efforts to go and help create a circular economy. I'll see if I can go and throw some more links down below about circular economy and just that general policy. Like, there are better options than what we're doing now. Going and kind of covering these articles, I think that at this point you'll probably get more from going and reading them if you want to go and find out more about what they're going and saying. Again, I've thrown the links down below. If you want to add your thoughts about like any of these policies that are coming up, these changes that are being created, these different things, please let me know. I'm personally excited about all the different innovation that's coming along, all the different positive changes that the future is holding. And with that, I'm going to be finishing up this video. But before finishing up this video, I wanted to quickly surprise you guys with introducing you to someone. This is Mr. Bubs. Formal name is Falcor J. Bubs. He responds to both Falcor and Mr. Bubs. And the next video should hopefully be the second part of my review, and will also include footage of Mr. Bubs in his sweater. Have a good day!